Salutations everyone, this is Razor here giving you another movie review, so let's hope I don't lose another sub this time. But today I'm going over The End of Watch, which I just saw last night, comes out today in a theater near you. Actually pretty good week for movies. We got 4 big releases. You have The End of Watch, House at the End of the Street, Trouble with the Curve, and Judge Dredd in 3D. And you know, House at the End of the Street is a kids movie, so I'm not gonna bother my time with that. So I decided to go ahead and see End of Watch because it looked really good to me, and the reviews have been great, and I can definitely see why. End of Watch, no spoilers, so you don't have to worry about that. It's with Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's just a fantastic cast all around. I mean, the casting director was just spot fucking on. This is such a good cast. Like every character, major and minor, were just perfectly casted, just amazingly suited for their roles. So definitely great job with the casting. That was just an awesome cast. You can really feel like the characters were the people that they were portraying. It's like that person is that character. You know, it's just a real good job casting, and Jake Gyllenhaal does a great job in this film. I feel like he's a good actor. I know some people aren't fans of him, but you know, not everyone is a fan of everyone, so you know that's fair. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some Oscar nominations in this, maybe for supporting acting role. But overall, quick review of the movie is it's fantastic. It is a very good movie. It's a cop movie. So in case you aren't really sure of what it is, I'll just go ahead and tell you what the trailer tells you. It's a cop movie. It's about uh, two cops that you know, they're partners, and it just goes through what it's like being part of you know, the South Central area, and that's LA for those of you who don't live in the US or maybe aren't familiar with California terminology. But whenever you say South Central, it's South Central LA. So this is a LAPD in pretty much you know, the grittiest, shittiest part of town, and goes through the lives of these two cops about the span of maybe a year. It spans throughout fairly well. It uses the whole you know, handheld camera documentary kind of a feel like that we've seen that continues to rise to popularity. So like the main guy has a camera that he says he's using to film for one of his classes, and they keep making mentions of the camera, which is a little annoying. They always seem to try to explain why the camera is there, kind of like in Chronicle, that movie that was out earlier this year about those kids with superpowers. So like there always seems to be a camera everywhere, which is, you know, I can understand it, but it actually kind of works for this movie much more than others. Because you know, since they're cops, you have like the dashboard cam like in the car. So like that camera angle is used, of course, and it's understandable, and it gives a pretty good view of the movie. Like I understand that kind of perspective on a film isn't always great for it, and it can be annoying at times. But you know, for this movie, it works. It's not perfect. I definitely could have gone without it in some cases. But you know, it's good. That's just a minor gripe of this film, because it's these two cops, and what basically happens is it's just a very accurate portrayal of a life of a city cop in South Central LA. Now, I've never been a thug, and I've never been a cop, but you know, I've seen my share of first-hand experiences with both those types of people, and I do have family members who did serve in the force, and this is a very accurate portrayal of what it's like to be a cop. And you know, of course, it's, you know, a little more dramatic because it's a movie, so things happen to these cops that regularly doesn't happen. But you know, this is South Central LA, so that is more believable that this kind of action would happen to these guys. But it really goes into like the nitty-gritty stuff of cops. It's a very accurate portrayal, I feel, the most that I've seen in any cop movies so far. The relationship between partners, how other people interact with cops, you know, how their bosses interact with them, how cops interact with each other, how, you know, thugs and game bangers interact with cops, how you know, detectives deal with cops. It seems very real, very believable. They do a fantastic job of making this movie believable on as many steps as they can. I mean, you know, your typical cop will never have to discharge their weapon throughout their whole career, and you know, this movie, you know, they definitely discharge their weapons, but you know, they also go through a real experience of cops. You know, the paperwork. Now the movie is not, you know, hours of paperwork, so it can't be that realistic, but it goes through like the really lame patrols that they have to go on, all the really calm and peaceful calls that they get, the situation that they have to roll up on. It's rather realistic and believable, and they do a great job of that throughout the movie. And what happens to these two cops in particular is they happen to roll up on what seems like a routine call, and happen to engage with some people that they get into, you know, they get into their business. They're interfering with a rather big cartel in the South Central section of LA, and just, you know, got into a string of bad luck. They messed with the wrong people, they rolled up on the wrong house, and got ringed up in something that they had no foreknowledge of, and these guys are put a hit on these two cops because they meddled in their business. So, you know, it's definitely more dramatic than your typical cop experience, but you know, it's a movie, so you have to have a story to follow, and it's a very good story. It has a good pacing to it. Things are always increasing in the metal and the drama meter, and you get a good feel of what it's like to be a cop. All the pain and suffering, the camaraderie between cops. The lack of power that cops seem to feel to have, like the ups and downs, especially the downs. Seeing this movie, I think, will shed some realistic light on how cops are treated by each other, their bosses, kids on the streets that, you know, they think they're hella hard and gangster, and they actually portray you know, the criminals rather well too. You know, I mean, you can tell that they're all cowards at heart, but there seems to be this undeserving sense of confidence that surrounds them. And I think all the acting does a fantastic job at portraying these each individual roles. You get to feel like they do a good job portraying what it feels like to be a cop, and how cops interact with each other, and also what it feels like to be part of that cop family between you know, the wife or girlfriend, as well as the your relationship with other cops and their families, that we've seen other movies touch on quite well. And you know, there are a lot of really good cop movies out there, but I feel like this one grabs all the best parts from all those movies, and off the top of my head, I cannot think of a better cop movie than this one. It's a really good movie, guys. Like, I don't want to give up a lot of spoilers, but it's shot well, directed well, the sound is great, with the whole handheld camera footage gives a different perspective that we really haven't seen in cop movies before, and in some of the shots, you're really thankful that you get that perspective, and the acting is phenomenal, the writing is very good, and it's very a realistic portrayal of cops, and I think it'll definitely be appreciated by those who have served, with, you know, a little bit of Hollywood flair in there, because there has to be a story to follow, but it doesn't feel like they Hollywooded it up too much. There's the right amount of action, the right amount of comedic relief. This is kind of like a cop buddy movie because you really get to feel the relationship between these two partners and how they each go through the motions. And just very, very well acted, and I feel like this is the best cop movie that I have ever seen. And the reviews out there seem to be agreeing with me, and I can definitely see what was seen in this movie to give it such good reviews. And it's just a really good movie, and I would definitely recommend it if you're going to see a movie this weekend. Trouble with the Curve also looks to be pretty good, and Judge Dredd actually has gotten surprisingly awesome reviews, so I think I might see that movie as well. But yeah, that's the video, guys. Definitely watch The End of Watch. It's definitely one of the best films of the year, and hopefully it'll get the praise it deserves. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.